Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we read about the widow's oil in 2 Kings chapter 4. And there you have a story where this poor widow only had a jar of oil left, and she didn't have a whole lot else really to account for as far as anything that was of any value. And Elisha tells her to get some vessels together, borrow some vessels from her neighbors, large vessels, and begin to pour this oil into these vessels. And as she poured the oil from this small jar, one by one, each of these vessels became full. And so much so that she had enough to pay off her debt and also have enough for her and her son to live off of. As we think about this from a spiritual standpoint, we can see that oil, oftentimes in scriptures, symbolizes the Holy Spirit and the presence of God. And it might be the case that some watching this video might feel as though they have just a small jar of oil. That is, maybe they feel that they haven't really felt the presence of God very often, or when they did, it was just very in small doses in specific times, but they don't really have the fullness of God's presence, the fullness of the awareness of God's presence in their life. And so they can kind of relate with this woman with a small jar of oil. That's all that they feel that they have. Well, I think if we find ourselves in that type of situation, maybe this story can be an encouragement to us to find a way in which we can have the fullness of God's presence, filling up all of our vessels, so to speak. That is, it might be that our word is the same as what Elisha told this widow. It might be that we just need to create more space for God's presence. The reason why we have such a small jar of oil, or just a small dose of God's presence in our life, is perhaps we haven't opened up enough space for Him. As the widow had to create more space for the oil, she had to gather up the vessels from her neighbors and gather enough to where when the oil began to pour, that she would have an abundance of oil. It could be that we need to do the same. Create more space for the Lord. It might be that we just, spend our little bit of time with the Lord in the morning, and maybe our little jar gets full in the morning, but by the time our heads hit the pillows at night, the Lord is far from our minds. We don't feel very close to Him, and we've pretty much forgotten Him by that point. That's when we need to bring in more vessels. That's when we need to create more space for the Lord, to open up not only our morning space to the Lord, but open up, if we go to work, our workspace to the Lord, open up our house to the Lord, our family to the Lord, our vehicles that we drive in to the Lord. Just open up all these spaces to the Lord to say to the Lord, Lord, here I am, fill this space where I find myself. And to just continue to redirect our minds, redirect our hearts and our thoughts to the Lord, and recognize the fact that He's not just the Lord of our morning quiet time, or whenever we have our quiet time, but He's the Lord of our lives. And it ought to be that He should fill every little nook and cranny of our lives. And if we would but do that and say, Lord, I give you it all, and I'm not going to reserve any for me, but give it all to you, we'll find that oil begin to expand and grow and fill until all of our vessels are full, all of our spaces are filled with the presence of God. And so let's take this widow's oil as encouragement to spend more time with the Lord, to open up more space for the Lord to come and fill our lives so that we can walk with the awareness of His presence. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.